Hello, my name is Ada Blackjack. I was born on May 10, 1898, on an Inupiat settlement in Alaska. Not long after my father died, and my mother could not cope with me, so I was passed on to the local white missionaries who taught me how to read and write, cook and sew. I married Jack Blackjack at 16 and had 3 children, but unfortunately 2 of them died early. He beat me and then abandoned us, so I was forced to put my only son in an orphanage. Because of my sewing and cooking skills, I was approached by the Stefansson Arctic Exploration Company to accompany a small team to go and settle on the barren wastes of Wrangel Island, an island between Alaska and Russia. I only agreed as he promised to pay me $50 a month and that I wouldn't be the only native joining the team. However, it didn't turn out like that. I set off with 4 other men and soon realized that I was going to be the only woman on this trip. I felt it hard to adjust to the group and sought companionship on a personal level with some of the group, but they spurned my advances and exiled me instead. I found myself being shouted at, sometimes left hungry and occasionally tied up. After a while, I realized that if I was going to survive, I needed to get back in favor and started to do more for the men. But as time went on and supplies started to run out, we all found ourselves in a dangerous situation. We all had very little in the way of survival skills and sometimes were unable to find any food. It was eventually decided that the 3 strongest members of the group were to head off together across the long strait to Siberia to find help and supplies. I was left to attend to the other man who was ill with scurvy. I tended to him as best as I could, but eventually he died, and I was left all alone. I knew that I had to survive, and by trial and error, I learned to hunt and fish. I made many mistakes in those early days, but step by step, I was successful in keeping myself alive. I existed at the camp in freezing conditions for another 80 days, until I was found by a rescue ship and taken back to Alaska. I thought all my troubles were over when I arrived back, but I was wrong. I was never paid the agreed amount and came under scrutiny for the care of the dying man. I also remarried and had a son, which again died early. To follow that, my only surviving son also died, but eventually things turned out for the better, and I lived a happier life until my death in 1983 at the age of 85. Although my life has been difficult, I know that at the end I had survived against all odds.